laureate in my living room. Elephant in the hallway, Papa laureate in my living room. Deep in trunks now, down talking that TMC in cartoon. The Nevis, Frederick, Douglass, Philip Peckish, technique, get a scribble with a pencil. Best of bullet pressure, holding lectures, electing Nazi raps, all the measures. Reclaiming on the bed, they shoot last head, then gather down the room. All hands and knees with a jam, you flag, trademarks, phenotypes with legalism. Raps and abuses, stimulus, crushing, blue IMs, big grudges. And keep the farmers market lunch and get head party like a truncheon. Hubert P, a la carte, a la mode. Hebdo in the drawing room, sketch your poppers in the margins, dry humping scripts, yeah, we're on the phone on. Ayy, prefab in the 9 cost flipping, flopping in the gender neutral blouse. Abstract birds, just the owl jaws, just the owl jaws, laureate in my living room, yeah. Poet laureate in my living room, yeah. Poet laureate in my living room, yeah. Poet laureate in my living room. Peanut butter, sandy, cold facts, spit and cold facts in the Krieger chain, but no hitters ain't figures with drawing for worse. Syntax spinner like an extra spitter. Ay, issuing monochrome delusions. Every step a footprint of black realists moving, expanded bibliography for the duration of the Uber. Talking shop, chewing liquids, liquid night, sans pill, foam stock, non-fiction, placebo, freelance, subject evidence of a pre-swing, but go post with addiction, with a peak of firm over my thumb, ayy, facial recognition, yo, on the upswing, downsides, up, souls out of state, using like just another angle, like what, partake the boss of the Creole Voltaire, 23 back of this year, and the town shed, singular sheet for each sector, the hemisphere, but the weed ain't feed so laws, ayy, sit a mid-vacation, D-louse, back to wave files, yeah, sipping on the couch, poet love, yeah, in my living room, better breakfast, yeah, in a random house, motherfucker. Laureate in my living room, yeah. Poet laureate in my living room, yeah. Poet laureate in my living room, yeah. Poet laureate in my living room.
Get out the way. I might be in the studio, but I'm still getting hyped. Welcome to Lanestonia.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Good evening.
That's right. Welcome tonight's Cabaret. For those of you who don't know us, how did you find your way here? But I'm Todd, that is Bob, and we are hosts for this evening for tonight's Cabaret, an evening with Rick Podell on the roof of the Minskoff Theatre. Keep the chat going in the sides. Everybody, if you are a subscriber to our channel, you can throw up your Podell Pog that you got today as a subscriber. I see already we're starting to do that during the show. Very excited about today's show. How long has it been since we did a Cabaret, Bob?
5 weeks, I think.
Are you serious?
5 weeks, but yeah, I think so. But this is the first one we're doing live.
That is true.
For everyone, not live but live to the public.
I know what you meant. And this is the first thing that's not just clients of ATB. We've opened this up, so dear God help us, I think is sort of the thing. I know we wanted to talk a little about how this sort of came about in some of the office hours we've been doing privately through the agency. We talk about things, and Rick would always interject some of his amazing life stories, and one of the stories happened to be about the roof of the Minskoff, or maybe I put that on him. I don't remember exactly how it happened, but we said, don't worry, everybody, you're going to see an evening with Rick Podell on the roof of the Minskoff Theatre. And then one day, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I just said, oh, Rick, we're doing that at the end of the month. And Rick was like, okay. And that was it. And the Cabaret was born. So... and it's a very special day for a lot of us. So we're very excited. For those of you who know, sorry, Bob, go.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, for those of you who are new to this channel here, if you go ahead and hit that heart to follow us, you'll get notifications about when we go live. Hopefully we'll have other Cabaret events on here besides our regular talk show that we do 3 times a week. Right. But like Todd said, this is, I believe it was I don't remember the number right now. We've done 14 or 15 cabarets privately prior to this evening.
Lord. Yes. And this is the first time I've worn a tie in at least 6 to 7 months. So I'm shocked that my neck fit in this shirt. And this is a custom made suit, special only to be worn one other time in my life, and that was at my wedding. I put that on for Rick because that's how important tonight is. That's how important it is to us.
Just over a year ago.
Yes, that is correct, Bob.
Why are these people requesting ads?
I don't know. Yeah, stop asking for ads. We're not giving you ads. We're giving you Rick. You did not come. But more importantly, they didn't come here for us, Bob. For those who watch our cabarets, they come here for other people.
And And for those who haven't, how this started, I guess, is in our first cabaret. Our first cabaret we did with our clients. One of our very talented clients, and you're here to see talent. You're not here to see Todd and I. Was, I think, reluctant, as you would say, Todd, at first to do it, and then came with a full production number.
Full production number.
Full production number. The audience, the rest of the clients demanded that she become part of the show. And
specifically Rick, too. Rick was like, bring this person back.
So she kind of has taken over the show and has been with us ever since. Our other client, we come up with bits totally pre-planned, and Arthur came in and subbed in for a number, and then he's been with us ever since. So they're who you want to see, right? Should we bring them in?
We should. Let's bring them in. Let's bring in our co-hosts, Arthur, Ross, and Amber Ardolino. Let's welcome them. There they are. Look at that. Look at that. Yes.
Good to be back.
It is good to be back. We had a few weeks off, but that's what this is all about. Is coming back to support our favorite Rick Podell in this. Now. So, what have you guys been up to the last few weeks?
Waiting for this damn show. It's the highlight of my quarantine. My husband's performing. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Actually, she says that she thought it was August 12th, and she's been sitting in her room in this dress since
I'm not going to call Amber out for sending me a text yesterday that said, "I can't find the cabaret. Where is it? I'm looking for Rick's cabaret. He'll kill me if I miss it." I was like, one, we've been doing cabarets on Wednesday this entire quarantine, Amber, and two, you're in the cabaret, so I don't know what you think you're doing, but you are so off base right now.
But also, Amber, this probably, I mean, you've been on every social media site. Is this your first time on Twitch? You're live on Twitch. Is this your first time on Twitch?
Yeah, I like it. It's sexy.
Oh, there you go. God
help
us.
Yeah.
And soon there may be an emote with your face on it. You got outvoted in the first round.
Yeah, first round we got Rick. That's what
they voted for the Rick Pog.
Yeah, so but soon enough, Amber, soon enough. And we got an Arthur one too.
You do.
All right.
Arthur's like, you do? Why?
It's coming, Arthur. It's coming. Don't worry. Okay, so this is a work.
Hold on.
Yeah, we got to approve a word. A virgin.
Thank you.
That's the first time in a long time Amber's had virgin attached to her name, but it just got approved as our moderator talk. Reminder to everyone, we're going to get started with the cabaret in just a second. This is a work in progress. I just want to say that. Rick is working his way through this show because we hope when this is over, we take this to Branson, Missouri. That's right. Maybe Branson might be an evening with Rick Podell on the rooftop of the Minskoff Theatre in Branson.
How about
Missouri.
Yakima, Washington? It is the Palm Springs of Washington.
I got nothing for you, Bob. All right, Bob. Bob, is everybody ready?
Are we ready? I'm ready.
Then we're going to get this started. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we go.
An evening with Rick Podell.
Oh, well, hi there. It's Rick Podell, and welcome to my evening. As you can see, I'm on the roof of the Minskoff Theatre, so I promise that I won't keep you up past your bedtime, and hope you enjoy the show.
Rick Podell. Yes, I vaguely remember him. He was on one episode of the television series that I was the star of. He had a really big ego, and he had this very tiny part on the show. He couldn't even remember his lines, and it's like he didn't even take acting seriously. And he was more interested in the buffet, and granted it was lobster, but still he was more interested in the buffet than acting. And then when I was walking by his dressing room, there was some weird vocal noises coming out, like animals, like a moose in heat. It was like, hoo, hoo, hoo. So yeah, the last I heard, he was an aerialist in Japan. Yeah, so needless to say, I never ever want to work with him again. Wish him all the best.
Yeah. About Rick. What can I say about Rick? He's a legend in his own mind. I first met Rick in acting class with Stella Adler. She said that he was fake and glib, but he always had great biceps. We used to play basketball together all the time. And to be honest, I would say that he was almost average. And that's being kind. I stopped talking to the guy when he broke up with my sister. I mean, how could he do that? She's a wonderful lady. But I always have a soft spot in my heart for him. Hey, Rick, when are you going to pay me back my $50? It's been a decade already. Peace out.
Yeah, Rick Podell. That guy had crazy style. His pants were so tight, his keys used to hang on his ears. He was always trying these bad jokes on the neighborhood dogs who would just end up peeing on him like a fire hydrant anyway, which was the best punchline. I mean, he borrowed money from everyone. There wasn't anyone in New York he didn't know money to. It was crazy. I mean, I love the guy. We first met at a nudist colony, actually, but he was wearing underwear and socks. It was really strange. Last I heard he was in Hawaii. I don't know.
Rick Podell? Yeah, I've known him in a few capacities. You know, from my time in anti-aging cream clinical trials to my time in cigar production and distribution to more recently, you know, this relationship we have as father and son or whatever. And he asked me to be his tech consultant for today. And, you know, I accepted. I know the nuts and bolts of his live stream business. But then it, you know, just kind of brought up this traumatic memory and series of incidents that happened. I was about age 15 and I started to get into information technology and computers, and he began to ask me for help, and I would just have these recurring nightmares of him in an endless cycle asking me to minimize windows or turn on a microphone or how to switch login names, and I just would wet the bed every time, and it's been hard to deal with, but you know, I don't know. I think about it now, and it made our relationship stronger.
You say, price of my love's not a price that you're willing to pay. You cry in your teeth, you hurl the sea when you see me go by. Why so sad? Remember we made an arrangement when you went away. Now you're making me mad. Remember the spite or estrangement. I'm your man. You'll be back. Soon you'll see. You'll remember you belong to me. You'll be back. Time will tell. You'll remember that I served you well. Oceans rise, empires fall. We have seen each other through it all. And when push comes to shove, I will send a fully armed battalion to remind you of my love. Da 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 da. You say your love is draining and you can't go on. You'll be the one complaining when I am gone. No, don't change the subject, 'cause you're my favorite subject. My sweet, submissive subject. My loyal, royal subject. Forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. You'll be back like before. I will fight the fight and win the war for your love, for your praise, and I'll laugh until my dying days. When you're gone, I'll go mad, so don't throw away this thing we had, 'cause when push comes to shove, I will kill your friends and family to remind you of my love. Da 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 da. Everybody. Da 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 Patio, cooking in the kitchen, in the bedroom, having sex, about to have sex, thinking about sex. Sex. Anyway, I started dancing when I was 6 and 7 years old. Tap. And I loved tap. My teacher was Louis Dupron, who actually was a student of Hermes Pan, because Hermes Pan was Fred Astaire's choreographer. Years later, I realized the kind of dancing I was getting. It was mind-blowing. But as I got older, I decided to get into ballet. Why? Because that's where all the girls were. And I got good enough that my first paying job was with Pacific Ballet of San Francisco. I did Giselle, I did the Nutcracker, and one day the Royal Ballet came to take class with us. And that's when I realized, man, I'm not gonna make it in this field. I'm just not good enough. So I trekked back to LA and I got myself an agent. Now the agent's name was Brooke Hill Snow. That's right, Brooke Hill Snow. And when you called him, you had to always say all three names. Hi, Brooke Hill Snow. Sounds like Hans Christian Andersen. You know, it was like I thought I was talking to a children's book. Anyway, he got me an audition for a group called the Kenley Players out of Ohio and Kansas. Now, Kenley Players did 10 shows in 10 weeks, and they used stars. Didn't matter who they used. It was just having stars. They could have done Lee Iacocca and Man of La Mancha, or the Hillside Strangler and Little Night Music, or Mother Teresa and the Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. They didn't care. Anyway, I went to audition, and what my agent didn't tell me was John Kenley was a hermaphrodite. That means for 6 months out of the year, he was a woman. So I walk into this audition. There's this person with a gray wig on, a shawl, a dress. Now, to the right, I can see the bathroom, and I'm thinking, I'm going to end up like Janet Leigh in Psycho. Anyway, I sang. He hired me. I got the job, and I went to Wichita, Kansas to do a summer theater tour. Now, in Wichita, Kansas, it was bizarre. I stayed at a place called the Alice Hotel. They had Murphy beds that you pulled out of the wall. And two things were odd about this hotel. In the lobby, there was a guy who played piano. But this guy only played The Sound of Music 7 nights a week. But he would play it at different styles. It drove you nuts. How do you solve a problem like Maria's? How do you solve a problem like Maria's? I am 16, going on 17. 7 nights a week, that's all he did. And no one ever asked him anything. It drove me out of my mind. One morning before rehearsal, I get the paper, and it says, murder in the Alice Hotel. I'm freaked out. I go downstairs to the lobby, and I say to the person behind the desk, excuse me, was there a murder in this hotel last night? Yeah, there was. What floor are you on? I said, I'm on the 6th floor. He says, well, the murder was on the 9th floor. I wouldn't worry about it. Well, I made my way to New York, finally, and I got an apartment, 4th floor walk-up, so I know what mountain goats go through.
And what was interesting about this was at that time, you didn't have a cell phone, so you had an answering service. And that answering service is how you would get auditions. So you'd call them, and they'd always say the same thing. I'd say, hi, this is Rick Podell. Rick, there's nothing at the moment, but they could be vicious. Hi, this is Rick Podell. No, Rick, there's nothing at the moment. And sometimes they'd make fun of you. Rick Podell. Hello, Rick. No, there's nothing at the moment. You'll never work. Click. That reminded me one time when I went to audition for Harold Prince for Phantom of the Opera. And after the audition, he said to me, thank you. That's all we need for now. And I went, now? It sounded like hope. And on the way home from the Broadhurst Theater, I'm going, that's all we need for now? That's all we need for now. That's all we need for now. That's all we need for now. I would do this for days. Finally, one night in my bed, I just laid back and I went, that's all we need for now. First audition in New York was for a commercial, 7-Up. And I was so excited. Got on the subway. I'm so jammed. I went to the ad agency, walked in, and the dialogue was easy. 7-Up, the Uncola. Come on. I've studied acting. Piece of cake. Walk in, room full of people, director, client, everybody. Pick up the 7-Up, and I go, 7-Up, the Uncola. The director turns and says, okay. It's not bad, Rick. I like it. Good energy. Interesting. Except a couple of things you should know. This guy's been in the Navy. Okay. 7-Up. The Uncola. Okay. Pretty good. Pretty good. I want to do another one. All of a sudden, I'm working with Stanislavski. This is a 2-line commercial. I want to go through a few things, Rick, okay? This is 7-Up. It's bubbly, but it's very real. It's a drink that takes itself seriously. It's got pride, yet it's vulnerable and open, okay? Oh, wow. I'm lost, man. 7-Up, the Uncola. I'm done, man. One more take, he said. I just want to do one more. Because you're getting there. You're getting there. Here's the thing. This guy loves Coke. It's important to him. And he loves 7-Up also. But he loves 7-Up more than Coke because he had a really rough childhood. Wow. 7-Up, the Uncola. Needless to say, I didn't get the job. Now, years later, I was a contract actor at Universal Studios. Yep. They paid us every week whether we worked or not. They found me in a production of Candide in New York, and they flew me out to LA. And it was great. Being in LA on a contract was great. And I did $6 Million Man. I was a regular on Beretta, Emergency, McMillan and Wife. It was a dream job to get. But I had one director during $6 Million Man named Arnie Lavin, who has since passed away. Now, I'm doing a scene with Lee Majors, who is really an ultimate cool guy. And I finished my scene, and I swear to you, this is what Arnie Lavin said to me. Okay, so when you get in, there's and don't, because he's, okay, one of the things you want to, it's going that way, so don't let it push it forward. You got me? And if it, don't just, you know what I mean? Find the, all right? Ladies and gentlemen, Arnie Lavin. But I got lucky in New York. I ended up in a show called Dames at Sea because I thought everybody could tap and sing. It was really great. And Bernadette Peters, all these people in the show. And I was so naive, though. I didn't know what it was about the Village and Theater de Lys. I mean, Sunday night, the theater was packed with people holding hands. And I turned to Bernadette and I said, what's going on? She says, Sunday night. It's date night. Oh, okay. I get it. Years later, I was helping the show. Neil Kenyon was directing another company. He asked me to help in the auditions. And the guy to play the captain gets up to sing. Big, burly guy. And he sings, walk on, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk again. Thank you. Dames at Sea. One of the ways I survived in New York was Gristides. Now, a lot of New Yorkers know about this restaurant, but at the time there was one at 8th Avenue and I believe 57th Street. And unlike today at lunchtime, they would put out all these snacks for you to eat, to sample. Cheese, salami, little things like that. So what you do, you should buy a 39-cent can of tuna, and then you'd eat all the snacks. Just fill yourself up for lunch and like a dinner. One time I'm doing that, and the guy taps me on the shoulder. He says, "Hey, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, excuse me." He says, "I'm a food tester for Hormel, and I go around to all the Gristedes and test the samples." That worked. But after that, it was a nightmare because I had to go to different Gristedes every single day to have the snacks because the managers were different. That's my Gristedes story, and that's my beginning in New York.
Actor,
Right.
singer. Are you into dancing too?
Yeah, I was a ballet dancer at one time too. I was in you don't often hear clapping for dancing.
You studied opera too, didn't you?
Right. I was in the Met Studio for a brief period in New York.
Can you give us a sample of what you do, Rick?
Let me see. Okay.
Una rama rosa del nostro tesoro.
There we go. The beginning of the evening with Rick Podell on the roof. I feel like it was a PBS thing. This totally feels very PBS at this point. Going through, Rick, you sound amazing.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Amber is speechless for the first time in her life. She has absolutely nothing to say. This is an actual first.
He's a star. A complete star. I'm in shock. We're not in shock. We knew this, but like it's just so amazing. I'm in awe.
Thanks, Amber.
There you go. There you go. Rick, how do you feel so far? It definitely feels like we're doing better than the Tony Awards. That's for sure. We
That's
definitely
absolutely
have outdone the CBS broadcast of the Tonys, but other than that,
we're doing better than the Sondheim special too.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. There are things that I've gone through that I remember, and I'm hoping that not just actors, but other people can identify with some of the things I'm talking about. I've walked into more traps in my life than a foxhole. I've just, it's just been crazy. Yeah. And that's just the beginning of it, really. I survived my beginning in New York, but just barely. I always wanted to ask that director, what the hell are you talking about? He's been in the Navy. I wish I'd thought about that at that moment, but I never did. I never saw him again. And the other director, I don't know what happened to that guy, but and he would do that the entire shoot. Sometimes you would get this. You know what I'm talking about. I just totally lost. I don't know what he was doing. It was bizarre. Anyway, it's been great.
Well, we're learning a lot from you. So let's keep the show going.
Wait, hold on.
Wait, do you have something?
We can't keep the show going. Yeah, no? Rick said he's having fun, but did you know this is not the only things that Rick has been working on in quarantine? He has other programming. Rick is multi-talented. You've already seen him sing Broadway and sing opera.
He's on the Mike Douglas show and doing ballet. Come on.
He also does illusions. Didn't you know that?
No, I didn't know that. What do you mean?
Did you know Penn Jillette is retiring?
Wait, what?
Yeah, we've got the new marquee here.
Oh, there you. I like it.
Podell and Teller.
Okay, that works.
That's not it. That's not it. He's got a new show, a reboot of an old 70s crime show coming streaming next year.
Okay, what's it called?
Mod Squad.
Oh, I like that. I like that. That's beautiful.
Oh my God. I love it.
Before that, I got a message here that just come through. I have to allow here. They want more. Davon wants more cleavage.
Davon wants more cleavage from Rick. There you go.
Speaking of cleavage,
Here you go, Davon.
Davon is the master of the segue because I have one more program, one more thing that Rick is also a host. He's hosting a reality show. They're bringing back a reality show with him.
Oh, yeah. Is that Amber? Is that Amber? I think so. Wow. I heard he was up for Dancing with the Stars, but that didn't work out. Too soon.
Oh God.
All right. Okay.
All right, man.
They didn't. Again,
That's funny.
They can't come for us, Rick. We're gonna send it over to you, and you're gonna pick us back up to give us some more stories.
All right.
Here you go, Bob.
So, as a kid growing up, my parents had a very difficult relationship, and I didn't know how to help myself, insulate myself from all of it. And one day, I found in their record collection the original cast recording of My Fair Lady. I took it in my room, put it on my Victrola record player, and I fell in love. I listened to that show every day of my life for hours. I knew every song, every part, everything, every character. All I want is a room somewhere far away from the cool night air with one enormous chair. Now wouldn't it be lovely? I sang everything. I'm getting married in the morning, the whole show, everything. Years later, In the Round Dinner Theater in Chicago hired me to play Freddie Einsford Hill, a part I always wanted to do. I have often walked down this street before. Great part. Second preview. 8 of the cast members get sick. We only had 12 people in the cast. And they were going to cancel the performance. And I said, don't. Director and producer said, what the hell are you talking about? We don't have enough people to do the show. I'm going to do the show myself. I went on stage in front of that dinner theater and I performed every character song in the entire show, almost every piece of dialogue in the entire thing. And for then, the rest of the run, my nickname was Rick Fairlady. We're talking about my opera career, and I don't know. I love singing opera, but somehow I was a bit of a jokester, and so it kind of didn't work out that well. When I auditioned for the Met Studio with that song, Amor Te Vieta, which is from the opera Fedora, which it's about a hat that falls in love with another hat, I think. I don't really know. But anyway, I had a teacher named Alberto Maziel, who was one of the legends of the Metropolitan Opera, and my lesson was right after Franco Corelli. And they told me I could be a great opera singer, but I wanted to goof around and have fun. And they got mad at me because I used to walk around all the time doing impressions of other people, and they hated singing the opera. My favorite was Jerry Lewis. We can't eat money and high again. Anyway, I got kicked out. And when I get kicked out, I realized that there was something else I wanted to do. And I think it was stand-up comedy. That's where I was being pulled toward. You know, as a kid, I remember I could never get my parents to laugh at me. I used to take a shower fully clothed, walk into dinner. No one said anything. Years later, when I was working with Cher in Las Vegas, I invited my father to see the show. And he sat with my manager, Bud Robinson, in a booth right in the middle. And I was killing the audience. And my manager turned to my father and said, Mr. Podell, you're not laughing at your son. He's doing great. And my father said to him, he said, you know, he wasn't funny when he's 8 years old. He's not funny now.
Though inside I'm Pavarotti, with a touch of Billy Joel, and a little bit of Mel Torme. I've a problem that afflicts me,
It inhibits and restricts me, a constant source of pain and misery. You see, I haven't got the slightest sense of rhythm. What Gershwin wrote about, I'm without. I study voice, I study theory. The expense is just outrageous. Even shacked up with a dancer, thinking maybe it's contagious. I haven't got the slightest sense of timing. Though no one can deny that I try. I feel the music deep inside me, like a conductor strong and steady. Then my brain becomes a nightmare. I scrub the band till ready. When do I come in? Now. When do I begin? Now. It's a situation I can't stand. Tell me when to start. Now. Tell me it's my part. Sing. When I sing a song, I really beat the band. Oh, I want to be a well-known entertainer. The jolts out of my time, it's a crime. For my loyalty is fierce, my determination true. No one wants to miss my break, cause my interest cue. Oh, I don't know what to think, and I don't know what to do. Snap your hands, snap your fingers, snap your feet. Where's the beat? Where's the beat? Where's the beat? Where's the beat? Sorry.
I went into comedy. First job I had was burlesque, a place called the Body Shop on Sunset Boulevard. I was the MC to bring the acts on and take them off, with such delightful ladies as Eartha Quake, Tornado Tanya, Toy Donahue, Frankie Sinatra. But it's where you learn to handle hecklers, and I became good at that. I could throw out lines like, hey, we're going to stick your thumb in your ear and go bowling. Hey, let's get some dough and make asshole cookies out of you. And I learned how to dodge everything, even had a bottle of ketchup thrown at me once. And I said, where's the burger? Well, I started doing stand-up. I got better, started getting jobs in comedy clubs, nightclubs, found a manager. And before long, my career took off. I was doing talk shows, one after another. I was doing Las Vegas with Tina Turner and, gosh, all kinds of people, Cher and Gordon Lightfoot and the Mills Brothers. And I was working and working and working. And one night, someone saw me and said, hey, I want you to come to England and do stand-up. I want you to be a recurring character on the Des O'Connor show. Are you kidding? I'm going to England to do comedy? Now, Des O'Connor was like the Tonight Show of England. Everybody knew him. And I did really well, night after night. And then I started to get gigs outside of London, Manchester, Leeds, Reigate, because mainly I was taking the piss out of English people. I would get on stage and say things like, you know, I hate this country. There's no history here. Or, can't get a cup of tea anywhere. Or, I went to see the Crown Jewels. It was 2 balls with a couple of diamonds in it. Anyway, I came back to the States after that. And I worked with Peter Nero, who's a jazz pianist in Fresno, home of the IRS. I didn't get audited on stage that night. But he invited me to come to France and work in Paris at the Olympia Theatre. And after I said yes, I thought, how am I going to do this? He says, don't worry, we have an interpreter on stage for you. I thought, okay, this will be great. I fly first class to Paris. I get paid right away, and I have all these franc notes all over the bed, and I'm feeling great. I'm staying at the Plaza Athénée Hotel, looking over the Cathedral of Notre Dame. I order room service cigars, a bottle of champagne. It's great. One day, I decided to go for a jog, and I get in the elevator, and standing there is King Hussein of Jordan. I look at him, and I could have gotten killed. He had bodyguards with him. I stuck my hand out, and I said, hey, King Hussein of Jordan, Rick Podell, nice to meet you. That night, I was telling my manager about this, and he was saying to me, oh, come on, stop bullshitting around, will you, Rick? You didn't meet King Hussein of Jordan. I said, I did. As we're sitting having drinks, down the hallway coming toward us is King Hussein with his bodyguards. He gets right to my table, and he goes, Rick Podell, nice to see you again. Every jaw in that place stopped like you couldn't believe. But I love working in Paris, man. I spent all my money. I took 4 people to Maxime's for dinner. It was like $1,000. And I thought everyone spoke English. I said to the waiter, hey, I'd like a dinner salad and hold the tomatoes. Of course, he brings me a bowl of tomatoes. I went to the left bank, had a cup of coffee, and the St. Bernard lays across my feet. And I turned to his owner and I said, what's going on with this dog? He's hungry. Give him something to eat. You know, the thing about France I don't understand also when I was there is, why do people speak English with a French accent thinking people understand them? Excuse me, can you tell me where the Eiffel Tower is? Well, came back to America and got a great job with Shirley Bassey. Some of you may know who she is. Goldfinger. Anyway, Shirley hired me to work with her, and she was one of the nicest people you could ever work with. I tried to get into one of her dresses one day just for the heck of it, but too tight, just too tight. But I like the look of it. Anyway, we were at the Greek Theater, and I had a really good night. And after the show, my manager got a text from somebody saying, hey, we want Rick to come to South Africa and be the first American comedian ever in South Africa. Are you kidding me? South Africa? Holy God. Now, at that time, apartheid was still going on. So the place where we worked was a place called Sun City, which was in Botswana, which was a community that was sort of mixed, I guess you'd say, black and white. So took my friend Norman Stiles with me, and we went there. We were hired to work with Christopher Cross. You know, it's between the moon and New York City, you know, that guy. Anyway, the audiences were just fantastic. We had a great time. And I did really well. I used to have flowers thrown at me on stage. I mean, I was a big hit there because we were taking the piss out of apartheid. I would say things like, got an apartheid headache? Take Dristan for that oppressed feeling. And the city of Pretoria was named for a white guy. I said to a black person, hey, get out of my seat. They loved it. They loved it. We got a chance to go on a safari. Very, very interesting. And we had a guide with us, and we were in an open Jeep. And we went on this safari out in the jungle, and, you know, about halfway through it, our guide says, you know, it's kind of a cloudy day. We may find something, see something interesting. Okay, yeah, right, all right. So we're driving along, and all of a sudden, I hear the sound of a zebra. And a lion is chasing the zebra, trying to bring it down and kill it. Now, our Jeep is going alongside, and we sort of take a veer turn, and the lion stops, and he sees the Jeep, and the zebra gets away. Now, I am in the back of the Jeep with my friend Norman Stiles. And I swear to you, this lion is 15 feet away. And he looks at me, and the look in his face is like, hey, motherfucker, I'm going to come on that Jeep, and I'm going to tear you to pieces. And I was like, sorry, I didn't know you were hungry today. No. South Africa. South Africa, what an incredible place to be. After that, I went and worked with Ginger Rogers. Yes, Ginger Rogers. She was looking for an opening act. And I went to meet with her in a hotel in Miami Beach. And she was very, very sweet. A hero of mine, very nice. And she said, okay, Rick, now you know, she said, I hear good things about you. And I think I'd like to hire you, but you know, I don't want any dirty language on stage. I want a clean comedian, someone who does nice, unoffensive things because that's my audience. And she turns to my assistant and goes, someone bring me a fucking soda. Ginger Rogers. Now, the Ginger Rogers story that's interesting, there's 2 of them, but I'm going to do one right now because we have to go to a commercial. The one that was funny about Ginger Rogers was we had 6 people in the company, 4 dancers, a musical director, and me, the opening act. And the audience was mostly, you know, old people and their parents. And one night, one of the guys had a birthday party. We were at the Pontchartrain Hotel in Detroit. And she said, come up to my suite afterwards. We're going to have a party for everybody. Okay. Sounds awesome. Come to her apartment. She has 6 huge layered cakes, 1 for each actor. Ginger, what are you doing? But she had a huge heart. We had cake. We talked. We laughed. Everybody started to leave. And Ginger turned to me and said, Rick, would you mind staying? Okay. I thought, what is going to happen? Well, one of the great thrills of my life, or anybody's life, she put in a tape of Top Hat, and we watched the movie together. And she took me through all the steps, everything that was going on. It was really quite amazing. She was one of my favorite acts to work with. The other favorite act of mine was Cher. Cher was incredible. The only thing about Cher's act was that she wanted to go out every night and party till 3, 4, 5 in the morning every night with her troupe of female impersonators and her gang of friends. It was the only time in my life when I was a stand-up comic, but I also felt like a night watchman.
Ladies and gentlemen, a good friend of mine, Rick Podell.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you. As you know, we're all going through a lot of rough economic times right now. Everybody's having a lot of problems with the economy. I myself just got back my second notice from the phone company. I thought it was rather rude of them to say Jew boy in the letter 3 times. It is. I mean, poverty, unemployment, people aren't working, there's a lot of starvation. It's a serious problem. I took my niece to SeaWorld the other day, and a dolphin jumped out of the water for a piece of fish. 6 people beat him to it. I was going on a vacation, and I don't know if any of you have had this experience. Anybody here get the Arrowhead spring water delivered to your house? Anybody in the audience? Yep. If you, no, Rick, we don't get anything, okay? Please. We're under a lot of pressure as an audience. Just do your act, okay? If you do get Arrowhead spring water, I needed to get the water stopped. And when you get the water, there's a little tag that gives you the name of the guy who delivers your water. So I called down to South Central Los Angeles and said, I'd like my water stopped. Now, the guy's name was Doug, who delivered my water. And the lady said to me, oh, that might not be his real name. You mean someone's delivering water under an assumed name? CIA water delivery. Just take it. I can't talk. I'm a special spy for fluoridated water. Just take it. Leave me alone. Well, I went on a trip to Europe. Actually, it's my second trip to Europe. The first time I went on a singles vacation to Europe, 7 days, 16 nights. I went to Europe to work with the pianist, Peter Nero. It's interesting. I was in Europe, and I was in Paris, France, working, and I had an interpreter on stage with me. Very bizarre. I would do a joke, and then he would interpret the joke. It was real strange. I would say something, and he would go, le mille, le pomme, le bim, le pub, l'étoile, you know. And then 4,000 French people would go, Americans are great in France. If you've traveled in France, anybody here been to France recently by any chance? No, Rick, we haven't been anywhere as an audience, okay? We're under a lot of pressure. We don't travel. We do nothing. We're just a group of people, okay? Please, leave us alone. We're just a crowd. All right.
All right. I love it. So good. I look at it all day. I mean, sometimes I already do. Bob, unmute yourself. This is that's amazing, Rick. But it's weird you brought up that South Africa thing, because I don't know if you know this, but I know a lot of the viewers probably know this person. Davon Williams has been doing a show for the last 10 weeks. We just got done with season 1, and he was actually doing an episode on Rick Podell. Did you know, Rick? Did you know that?
Oh,
he was.
I did not know that. No, I did not.
We had a production meeting about it a few weeks ago. It got scrapped for other reasons.
It did get thrown out, but I was able to get the footage. So
I'll bet you were.
Here you go, Rick.
Coming. No, I just don't. I feel like it's not enough. It's not. Like, can we fix it in post? Can we digitally do something? All right, we'll figure it out. Hi, my name is Davon Williams, and I'm the host of The Receipts. Tonight, I have interrupted this evening to break news regarding Rick Podell. That's right. I am breaking my hiatus to bring you a special episode of The Receipts. I'm sorry, what? Why not? It's my show. Oh, it's a platform issue. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. I got a plan for this. Okay. Hi. My name is Davon Williams, and these are the Rick Rolls. Rick Podell is a master of screen and stage. His credits are as follows: The Unborn, Archie returns to Riverdale, like the comics, Cheers, where everybody knows your name, World Gone Wild, The Oasis, Fame, The Jeffersons, Moving On Up, Family Ties, Lunch Wagon, Hero at Large, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, Evita, The Fantastics, Chapter 2, and Sunset Boulevard. Many don't know that Rick Podell was the first American comedian to perform stand-up in South Africa. Live from South Africa, please welcome Londiwe Ngubeni.
Ayobuza intombi ngilalela.
Yebo.
Oh, uRicky.
Rick Podell.
uRicky Podell. Oh, hey. Hayi suka. Uyazi lo mfana wakhuluma eqaleni wazoqeda lo mfana. Ngingamuzi isimeni ukuthi uthini. Uyazi wakhuluma wathi angazi yazi noma ngizama ukubuyisa ingqondo ayibule lento yakhe. Ngimkhumbula kahle uRicky Podell. Ngamkhumbula kanjani? Hayi suka. Awuthi ngihambe ngiyogeza nanaso isikhathi sokuganga.
Thank you, Londi. Thank you. With little known about his time in South Africa, we've decided to bring it back to America and get some primary sources to answer the question, who is Rick Podell?
So, who is Rick Podell? Rick is one of these guys that doesn't like to brag about his achievements. He was raised by wolves. He saved a school bus of children from a bomb. And every single one of his lovers said that he makes love like a lesbian, which is obviously a good thing.
Handsome, charismatic, charming, funny, wickedly talented, and extremely hip. These are just some of the few adjectives I can think of to describe the great Mr. Rick Podell. I admire Rick not only for his insane talent, but he's just such a great, genuine guy. Every time we hang out, it's always such a good time, and I'm just so thrilled for him.
I'm Sakuchio, Rick Podell's first agent. That sorry son of a bitch owes me $5.46 in residuals. Anyway, I'm the one that got his first breakout role on Beretta as, get this, pretty boy. It could have been a recurring part of that damn cockatoo hating his guts, and you know what they say. You can always trust a cockatoo. I could have gotten him a great part on BJ and the Bear, but the son of a bitch missed his audition because he was hungover. Why? Because he was in Studio 54 the night before having the three-way with Liza Minnelli and Grace Jones while Trivia Pudding watched in the corner and gave commentary. You know, some people were surprised Truman to join in. Oh, I know. Rick Podell, heterosexual. Please. It's like Harvey Firestein once told me, oh, you know he knows what dick tastes like.
Podell. I love that cat. I do. I first worked with talented Rick in Sunset Boulevard, the musical in New York. And it was right into the run that I recognized, beyond his caustic, sarcastic humor, is huge love and a big heart. And he's current. He's always current. He's always going to thrive, unlike Norman Desmond in the show. He also has that tenor voice that I still hear in Los Angeles all the way from New York. I love you, Rick.
What do I think about Rick Podell, the man, the myth, the legend? Well, quite honestly, he's Mr. Broadway. He's Mr. Personality. He's a gentleman and a scholar. He's sharp, he's got wit, and he's got that voice with a tone that just grabs you in the ears and massages you to, like, your happy place. You know what I mean? He's iconic. And he's also knows how to throw the cold shoulder if your name is Amber Ardolino. Just saying.
Who is Rick Podell, you might ask? Only the goddamn love of my life.
The apple of my eye, the star to my moons, the butter to my biscuit. Oh, Rick, I love ya. You are forever my gold chain wearing, singing bad boy of Jersey. Love you, Rick.
Oh, our dear Rick Podell.
Oh, dear Ricky Poe.
Oh, Ricky Poe, do you remember all the memories of us remembering all the memories
Yes,
of Ricky Poe?
I remember all the memories we've ever remembered with Ricky Poe.
Like the time that we skinnied it at the zoo.
Yes, or the time we drank 10 sidecars in a sidecar.
Or the time that we slapped a chef with his own omelet.
Yes, or when we made our Broadway debut in Next to Each Other, by next to each other,
By next to each other. Or the time that we fell an oak tree just to make this pipe. Oh, how we laughed.
Oh, how we sang.
Oh, how we chopped.
Oh, how we were not invited to the roof of the Minskoff Theatre this evening.
Fun fact, the ATB Podell poll was inspired by Podell's appearance on the Don Kirshner's rock concert. It's like spotting Bigfoot. When it comes to identity, it is clear that tonight is an important night in the world of entertainment as we learn firsthand from the man himself. It's 2020. Is that how Rick identifies? Is that how Rick identifies? Like, is that how? Okay, great. Okay, awesome. Thank you, research. Viewers, please enjoy this evening with Rick Podell. I'm Davon Williams, and this was a Rick Roll.
Wow. Wow, man. That was incredible. Rick Astley, baby. Yeah!
There you go.
Oh my God. That was, thank everybody. That was unbelievable.
You know.
You guys, that was unbelievable.
I mean, to get Amber to step away for TikTok for just a minute, you know, that you got to mean something to her, Rick. You got to mean something to her. She doesn't do that for just anybody. So
Amber and I are very tight. You can't separate us. We're tight.
We know.
Wow. Wow, what a surprise. Holy cow. How did you find Rick Sparks? My God.
You
that's
know,
amazing.
Davon can pull the receipts.
Yeah, nobody
you know
ever
that.
asked Davon how he does anything. He just does it and it happens.
Davon, mwah. Oh my gosh, unbelievable.
Brilliant. I know we're getting some things in the chat about the echo, guys. I don't know where this echo is coming from. It's killing me more than I think it's killing you. So I apologize for that. Amber and Arthur are like, we don't hear anything. We can barely hear ourselves.
It's clear as a bell on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to a little bit more singing, Rick.
Okay.
So you could digest all that, and then we got some more stories
Oh
for everybody.
man.
All
man,
right.
oh man.
Here we go.
She was such an incredible woman. And one night we both set ourselves free. I could feel all the power inside her. And she seemed to release it to me. And she suddenly said, I can't see her. And the thought of it drove me insane. So I climbed up a tree, I am creeping to the roof over where she is sleeping. And I sit there all night in the rain. And I'm thinking, what am I doing up on the roof? What am I doing out in the rain? What kind of feelings make a man blind? What am I doing out of my mind with love? And her father, my father, down the lawn. And they're shouting, what's he doing up on the roof? What's he doing out in the rain? What kind of feelings make a man blind? What kind of guy goes out of his mind with love? decided that I'll learn my lesson. I rejoin those sensible men. Now, no matter how tempting the woman, I won't ever go crazy again. When I'm safe alone in my bedroom, thinking God I'm not shaking and wet. I think back to the night I felt tingles, holding tight up the slide on the shingles, feeling feelings I'll never forget. And I wish I was saying, what am I doing up on the roof? What am I doing out in the rain? What kind of feelings make a man blind? What am I doing out of my mind with? What am I doing tail of her car? What am I doing inside her bushes? What am I doing covered with mud? What am I doing out of my mind with love? With love. What am I doing? What am I doing stealing her scarf? What am I doing sniffing her perfume? What am I doing sipping her trash? What am I doing testing her doorknob, dialing her phone, cramming her tulips, bugging her friends, petting her dog? But what am I doing out of my mind with love? What am I doing out of my mind with love? Okay, well, that was a piece I love, and sort of that leads us into the musical theater part of my career. As we said before, Andrew Lloyd Webber has been very gracious to me. I was the original narrator in Josephine the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. I was so good as a narrator that after I did it from then on, it was always a woman playing the part. I did Evita for him, and of course Sunset Boulevard, and he's kept me working for a long time, and I love you, Andrew. One of my most horrific experiences, or harrowing experiences, was working with Milton Berle in the musical of 2 by 2. Now, he replaced Danny Kaye, and then I took over for Walter Willison as Japheth. Now, the first time I met Milton was in the restroom of the St. Louis Muni Opera. And he turned to me, I'd never met him, and said, "What do you think? Is this the longest thing you've ever seen?" Gee, Mr. Berle, I haven't seen a lot of them, but yours looks pretty good. Anyway, Milton never knew his lines ever. He never learned them, ever. And at one rehearsal, we were doing a music rehearsal with Anton Coppola, the director, who happened to be Francis Ford Coppola's grandfather. And Richard Rodgers was sitting in the front row. And Milton turned to Coppola and said, "You know what?" He says, "Forget the melody. Just play my part." We never saw Richard Rodgers again. But the night before we opened, we were at the Chase Plaza Hotel running lines furiously. And Joe Layton and Scott Salmon, the director, came up to me, the directors, and said, "Rick, you got to know the whole show." "What do you mean?" "You got to know everybody's part, every line, everything." "What are you talking about?" "He's going to go up, man. You got to know how to direct him everywhere." Now, St. Louis Muni was our opening night. And one of the beautiful things about this is that my mother and my aunt grew up in St. Louis. And as kids, for nothing, they sat in the free seats way in the back of the St. Louis Muni and watched shows. And I came home to work there, and they were both able to come and sit and watch me work. It just was an incredible experience for me, and I'm sure for them as well. Opening night, I thought we're going to be okay. The first 5 or 6 minutes, it's going great. All of a sudden, Milton turns to me and he goes, "Japheth! Papa, don't you want to ask me why your oldest daughter isn't here to take you to the Ark?" And then he'd pick it up again. 15 minutes later, "Japheth! Yes? Don't you want to ask me that the song, The Temple of the Golden Ram, is coming up, and there are going to be a couple of people coming in. Don't you want to address them and tell them to come in?" 10 more minutes later, 15 minutes later, "Japheth! Yeah, Papa, we're supposed to get on the Ark. And you know what? You're supposed to sing a song right now called 2 by 2, The Animals." "Oh, all right." Nightmare. Next morning, I opened the paper of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, and it says, "Milton Berle delivers his lines with unerring clarity." I was hired for a musical called Fig Leaves Are Falling. I was subsequently fired, so it's okay. But
This was a new musical at the Wilbur Theater in Philadelphia, and the lines were changed every day. Every 5 minutes, you get a new line, a new song, a new thing, a new this, little notes on pieces of paper, whole scenes were rewritten every day. And those of you who've been in the theater in New York, you know what this is about. You know that these changes come. Well, one night they came to me and said, Rick, we're putting in a new song for your character. Oh, man, that is fantastic. What's the song? It's called Urban Renewal. They played it for me. It's a beautiful song. Went through it a few times. Thought I learned it. Thought I knew it. So we're putting it into the show tomorrow night. Okay, no problem. Now the show starts the next night, and I have other scenes. And while those other scenes are going on, this song is running through my head. There's a song, I'm just running through my head. Finally, we come up to the moment when I'm supposed to sing. And I'm out there on stage by myself. And I start great. There's a house in a shabby part of town, and a sign outside says it's coming down, because the town is caught in a building boom, and the planners say that they must have room. And so I think that I'm a man, and yet I'm not, except at 10. And every day I say hello, and sometimes then I say goodbye. And one more thing I'd like to say, because I think it should be right. If you like corn and I like peas, have them. I went on for 4 minutes trying to find the end of this song. I never did. I ended it with something, and the audience applauded like someone had stuck a toothpick in a penguin's stomach. The actors came out laughing on stage. That was the end of my experience in that show. Years later, yay, Rick, yay. We're on stage, a rehearsal for the Tony Awards. A couple of us were on stage, running dialogue and whatever for the show. And all of a sudden I hear from the front of the theater, Rick? I look out there, Rick, could you come down here for a minute? It's Carol Channing and Jerry Herman in the theater. Carol goes, Rick! I walk down. I said, yeah. And Jerry Herman was in a wool sweater. It was 90 degrees outside. And Carol goes, Rick, do you know where we're sitting for the Tony Awards? Carol, how would I know where you're sitting for the Tony Awards? Well, we thought you might know. We'd like to see our seats early so we know where we'll be sitting. Carol Channing, what a piece of work. I once did some scenes from Hello, Dolly with her for a benefit called Ring Bell Sing Songs. Now, I didn't know this about Carol Channing, but if you're in the middle of a scene with her, if she forgets her line, you have to go back to the beginning of the scene. So I would be talking, and she would go, Barnaby? And I would have to go, well, hello, Dolly, how are you today? This happened 3 or 4 times, but she was a great lady. You know, when she went to eat, she was a forerunner of health foods. She would have all her vegetables and stuff in bags, and she would eat that way when we went out to eat. But she was a great performer, a wonderful artist, and someone I learned a lot from. And another person I learned a lot from, and I think there's a picture coming up of her, was Glenn Close, my buddy Glenn Close.
The chosen few of movie land, the latest cut. We dress every movie star and ruler. From the shining top caps to their hatband, and see your gut, you won't regret selecting the right tuner. If you need a hand to shake, if there's a girl you want to make, if there's a soul you're out to capture, or a heart you want to break, if you want the world to love you, you'll have the man to take. And gracefully accept the role you're playing. You will earn every cent the lady's paying. Why not have it all? Now that didn't hurt, did it? The lady's paying.
Sunset Boulevard. Wow. I mean, a lot of people think about great rides in their life. This was one of the all-time great rides of my life, this show. And I almost didn't get it. You know, I asked my agent if I could get an audition for it when it first came out. And my agent said, no, there's nothing in it for you. I said, okay. But I decided to call Vinny Liff, who was the casting director and has since passed away. And I called his office and he got on the phone. And I said, Vinny, is there a part for me? He said, well, maybe. He says, we're going to be in LA. You want to audition? I said, sure. I went and sang for Trevor Nunn, the director. I read for him and left the audition. My agent called me back the next day and said, sorry, Rick, they're not interested in you. It's not going any further. Okay. About 4 months later, I get a call from my agent. He said, guess what? They want to see you again for Sunset Boulevard. I didn't ask why or what. If you're an actor, you never ask these questions. Part of being an actor is just showing up when you're called. Just show up without any preconceived ideas. I walked in and they told me this is why I got the job, actually. As I was about to sing, Andrew Lloyd Webber walked into the room. And I turned to Andrew and I said, you're late. Do you have a note? The place exploded, and I got the job that led to a great 2-year job and a great musical with a great friend. Glenn Close was as good a friend as I had. When I was going through my divorce, she was the person who took me out to her house to hang out, took care of me, really helped me through a pretty difficult time in my life that had a lot to do with my own fault. When the show first opened in Los Angeles, she had a 6-year-old daughter named Annie, and I had a 6-year-old son named Kirk, and they were getting along pretty well. So Glenn came up with the idea that we should have them on Saturday nights go to each other's house so we could get a little break and they could back and forth go to each other's homes on those Saturday nights. Great idea. So the first weekend, Kirk was sent to Glenn Close's house for the weekend. So everything's okay. My ex-wife, Marie, who raised both of these kids beautifully, we're sitting having wine and the phone rings. She said, Rick, it's Glenn Close. And I thought, what has my son done? He's only been there a couple hours. She said, Rick, I'm trying to make dinner for them, and I'm trying to get your son to call me Glenn, but he will only call me Norma Desmond. He says, you're not Glenn Close, you're Norma Desmond. Can you help me? Put him on the phone. I put Kirk on the phone. I go, hey, Dad, how you doing? I said, I'm doing really, really great. How are you? Oh, I'm doing terrific. Listen, Glenn's a little weirded about this. Could you call her Glenn? That's her real name. Oh, no, Daddy, I can't do that. Her name is Norma Desmond. This is also the guy who wanted to go trick-or-treating as Max Van Marling, so give me a break. One of the things that were great about Sunset Boulevard was that I had the dressing room next to Glenn, and I could always, near her, and I could hang out and meet people. One night, this is going back and forward again, the stage manager came backstage and said, hey, Ginger Rogers is here at the show, Rick, to see the show, and she wants to talk to you afterwards. The whole cast went crazy. Ginger Rogers, how do you know Ginger Rogers? Wow, man. After the show, I got to introduce Ginger Rogers to Glenn Close, and they talked. A certain high moment in my career, the respect they had and the love for each other. The other time was Meryl Streep, who came to see the show. And I was in the dressing room. I was going to leave, and Glenn said, no, you can stay. And Glenn turned to Meryl and said, you know what? I'm having trouble, Meryl, in that New Year's Eve scene. I feel like I'm an awkward dancer. I'm not dancing well. I'm not doing well. I feel I'm going to fall on my feet. I just feel uncomfortable. And Meryl gave her a piece of advice that stuck with me for my entire career. She said, use that. Use that feeling of nervousness. Use that feeling of anticipation, being awkward, being in love with the guy, and let that run through your dancing. It'll be great. What a pro she was. What a pro. Now, Glenn Close was doing really well at the time. Of course, she was a big star, and they had all kind of benefits and things for her. And one of them was the Carnegie Deli decided to name a sandwich in her honor, which, great. So Glenn invited a bunch of us, especially me. She said, Rick, I want you to come along with me to the Carnegie Deli. So they bring out a sandwich. I forget now what it was. And they present it to her, and everyone claps. And then there's a moment where Glenn says, Rick would like to say a few things for me. What the? I was fighting for words. Glenn has always loved rye bread. She's a really huge fan of sauerkraut. And man, she has a lot of Swiss cheese in her house. And, I couldn't stop her from putting Russian dressing on my cereal. I had no idea what to say. But funny thing is, from then on, almost every event she went to, she had made me come with her. And always I ended up saying a few words. But I love her. We've been close friends for a long time. We're still friends. And I love everything she gave me on stage as well. Now, I did a musical in LA called Anyone Can Whistle. Few people know about the show, written by Sondheim. And it's a cult show, let's say. And in New York, that show closed in a week. And everyone's convinced it was because of a paper strike. Well, no one really knew for sure what the truth was. We did a West Coast company directed by Glenn Cassell, starring Annie Morrison and the incredible Joan Ryan, whose voice is so high she still gets fan mail from dogs. And we did the show, and afterwards, Lee Remick had been sitting in the front row. Lee Remick, great actress. He came backstage to us and said, "Oh, thank you all so much. You know, what great performances you gave. I always thought it was the newspaper strike. No, it's a terrible show."
Rick.
Yes, sir.
You're just, I can listen to hear you tell Glenn stories all night long. I mean,
That's just a few of them. If we had a whole night, I'd go on till 8 o'clock with stories about Glenn Close.
I can understand remember seeing Sunset Boulevard with Glenn in it. I can understand where your son wouldn't want to call her anything but Norma Desmond. Watching her in that show, I remember sitting in the audience going, you thought that after she shoots Joe, she's going to turn around to the audience and just take out a couple people in the third row along with her.
And you know what, Bob? She was consistent through that entire 2-year run that I was there. Every night she was right on the money. There wasn't a night that she wasn't there. Her performance was 100% every night. And she struggled in rehearsals. She struggled with finding things, with the character, with doing things, you know. But the thing about Glenn Close, like a lot of great stars that I've been around and worked with, most of them are really great people as well as great actors. And that's the thing you remember.
It's funny, too, because the other thing I remember is stage dooring wasn't the big deal back then, but at Sunset, they had the barricades up for Glenn, and she had bodyguards when she came out. So we didn't try to bug her, but my best friend in high school jumped between the bodyguards to her, and one of the bodyguards went to put his arm up, and she grabbed the bodyguard's arm and went, "Let him go." And she went and talked to him and signed his autograph. But I do remember that because she stopped them from pushing a kid away from her.
She was great. There's not a more beautiful human being that I know in the world, and I'm grateful for the friendship we have, for sure.
That's always what gets me excited about you, Rick, is that you have these moments that are just so incredibly special. That I love that about you.
Thanks. Well, I've had a really good life, and I've had so far, and I've had the good fortune to work with a lot of people and be able to have fun doing it, and realize that at times it's silly, at times it's serious, at times it's embarrassing, at times it's great. It's all of it. You know, you got to embrace all of it.
So
this has been the quietest our peanut gallery has been.
I know.
Amber has no show. Clue. It's like they come audience members. There's no drinking games. They're like their hands are empty. They're just staring and watching Rick.
I hope they're having a good time.
Amber
she has a question.
She has a question.
No, not a question. I have a suggestion.
Amber has notes. Okay, go ahead.
We've done the cabaret now. I feel like maybe a book.
Oh, a book. A book
of Rick Podell stories.
Told through the eyes of TikTok. No?
Why not?
I mean,
why not, Amber? It's a good idea. I hadn't thought about it, but maybe.
Exactly.
You've got some good stories, Rick.
Well, let me just tell you, Rick, this is just a moment for me to have with you. It has been such an honor to work with you as long as we have. I remember the day you submitted to me, and I grew up listening to you. That song from Sunset Boulevard, my best friend and I sang at the top of our lungs over and over in the car. Hearing this,
How that didn't work, did it?
Just is everything to me. And I saw you get to do the show in New York, and I was the biggest fan of yours. So getting to the point where we got to work with you and get as close as we have with you is incredibly special. So I want to thank you for giving us that, for being a mentor to all of us, as well as an amazing client just to be able to work with.
To answer your other question, that was 4 takes on the album, the end.
Oh yeah, I did ask you that one time. How many times did it
4
take?
takes. Yeah, well, the first couple that just didn't hit it, you know, when you're not doing it on stage, it's hard to replicate that. So I actually got someone's coat and I put it on his shoulder, and that's how I did it the 4th take. No, that didn't hurt, did it? I needed to do it physically, because without it physically, the note didn't come.
Still less takes than Elaine Stritch on The Ladies Who Lunch.
Oh yeah. Oh God, yeah.
Well, some people in the chat didn't even realize that drop that Todd played that we use every day on the show, that it was from that song till they watched the video a few minutes ago from it.
Yeah, that's funny.
My favorite.
Mine too. Mine too.
The best. The best. All right.
Listen, I haven't said much because there's awe and inspiration, absolute joy, and like I feel like a biscuit or a sponge sopping up all this amazement that you've lived and are sharing and all of the awesome parts. Rick, man.
I just love that Arthur said he's a biscuit. That's one of my favorite parts of the evening. And then I was like, oh, I get it. He's sopping. Okay, cool. Yeah, I get it.
He brought it back.
If you hadn't said sponge, I would have been lost for the rest of the night. I would have been like, what does that mean? Probably would have texted Dave on and been like, what does it mean to be a biscuit? But yeah, you got me. You got me.
Thank you, Arthur. Coming from you, that means a lot. Thank you.
All right, so we're gonna take it. Let Rick take it home at the end of the show. A couple of songs. It looks like we had a little technical difficulty, so I'm gonna hit this next button. Hopefully, your song will play, Rick. I hope so. That's what I'm praying for. So here we go.
If not, I'll turn it into a book.
Yeah, exactly. Here we go.
I don't care about expensive things, cashmere coats, diamond rings, don't mean a thing. All I care about is love, that's what I'm here for. I don't care for wearing silk cravats, ruby studs, satin spats. No, no, not me. All I care about is love. Show me long raven hair flowing down about to there. When I see her running free, keep your money, that's enough for me. I don't care for having Packard cars or smoking long black cigars. No, no, not me. All I care about is doing a guy in who's picking on you, twisting the wrist that's turning the screw. All I care about is love.
I think there is a picture coming up right now that I'm going to talk about. I'm not sure, but I think there is. Yes? No? They don't have it? Well, all right. I'll continue without the picture. As I said, I never really had a good relationship with my parents. And after about 30 years of marriage, they ended up breaking up. My mother left my father, and my father said he left her with a tin of meatloaf and instructions on how to feed the dog. And I never really got along with them. As a matter of fact, I used to call them Dave and Loretta instead of Mom and Dad. And when my father got ill and lost much of his sight, he came to my apartment out of nowhere and said to me, look, I know you hate me, but you have to help me. And when he went to the hospital for his diabetes, had part of his foot amputated, and we took him home, he said to me, of all the people, you were the one I never thought would come through for me. So I thought that was an interesting idea for something. And I went to my writing partner, Michael Preminger, and I said, who's a brilliant writer and is as much responsible for the writing of this movie as anybody. And I said, I think there's something here. And we started to write this script. And my father had told me so many stories. Like when he was growing up, his mother had passed away and he was sent to live with a stepmom, a cruel stepmom. And he lived in the cellar of this house all the time. Even at Christmas, he wasn't let up. And the only thing that he had down there that he found was a trumpet and some jazz recordings. And he said that kept him alive. And I just thought it was so interesting what he was talking about. So Michael and I crafted this movie called Nothing in Common, which we've also incidentally just written a musical also, which we hope to be able to get done. But
It was an incredible work. I talked to my parents a lot about their lives, and I really got to find out who they were through their divorce. I never would have known them if it hadn't happened. And I grew to love each of them in totally different ways. And my father's quite a character. When I told him Jackie Gleason was going to play him, he said, no, he doesn't have the emotional depth to play me. And then he told to the director, Gary Marshall, he said, you know, I wish I'd gotten laid in real life as much as Rick said I did in the movies. He was a character. But at the screening, at the end of it, he said to me, you know what? I never realized that my personal life affected you so much. And the movie did great things. It was very well received. But I remember one night I was in Ohio speaking to a group of people at Oberlin College. And after the talk, a woman came up to me and she said, thank you. Your movies, what finally got my husband and my son to talk after 15 or 20 years. And Michael and I heard this from all kinds of people. And, you know, sometimes you write something and you don't get a chance for it to be this gratifying. But it certainly was. Cut to years later, I have my own sons, Kirk and Reese. And you'd think from my father I would learn, but I didn't. I was a terrible father at the beginning, especially after the divorce. I was awful. And the big wake-up call for me was one day when Marie, their mother, called me and said, you know what? The boys don't want to come to your house for their weekend. They don't want to see you. That was tough. That was tough. And I had to look at myself and figure out what was holding me back from giving, from loving, from caring. And I worked on it. And I found the joy in giving to somebody else and not just taking. Well, the funny thing was when they finally came to my house, I cooked a meal for them. And my son Reese, who was, I think, 5 or 6 at the time, I put the food down in front of him and he looked at it and he went. And so I learned to cook by watching Guy Fieri on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. That's how I learned to cook. So my pediatrician once said to me, he said, you know, you've raised great kids when they call you. So it's had a real final ending to all of that. I just want to say, first of all, before we wrap it up, I want to thank my son Reese for all the technical work he did. Incredible, unbelievable. I hope if I go on and do this show live or whatever, he'll be a part of it. I want to thank my wife, Catherine, who did all the lighting, all the setup, collaborated with me, ran me through my stories, worked 100% to make this the best show she could. And especially I want to thank Todd and Bob, who without them putting me on to do the show, without them telling me to do it, I never would have had this experience. So everybody, thank you. I hope those of you watching in Nigeria and Bulgaria and Russia and Indonesia and China, Venezuela, and parts of Kentucky enjoyed the show. Thanks a lot.
Finishing the hat. How you have to finish the hat. How you watch the rest of the world from a window while you finish the hat. Mapping out the sky. What you feel like planting sky. What you feel when voices that come through the window go until they distance and die. Until there's nothing sky. And how you're always turning back too late from the grass or the sick or the dog or the light. How the kind of woman willing to wait, not the kind that you want to find, waiting to return you to the night. Dizzy from the height, coming from the hat, studying a hat, entering the world of the hat, reaching through the world of the hat like a window, back to this one from that, studying a face, stepping back to look at a face, leaves a little space in the way, like a window, but to see, it's the only way to see. And when the woman that you wanted goes, you can say to yourself, well, I give what I give. But the woman who won't wait for you knows that however you live, there's a part of you always standing by. look, I made a hat. Where there never was a hat.
Rick, amazing.
Yes, sir.
Amazing.
Standing ovation.
You even rewrote the show at the end, and we went with it. That was the perfect ending. Exactly how you did it. That was beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Amazing. Oh, that was
Then
it.
I go off, of
Rick's
course.
up. Rick's gone.
He's like,
I'm done with this
90
show.
minutes
Mic
and I'm done.
I'm out.
Forget it.
That's it.
It's just the four of you now.
Where did
Standing
we go?
by. He'll be back.
Oh, there he is.
There
There
we
he is.
go.
Okay, good. I was like, man, that is the way to exit. He's like, I'm done. Goodbye.
I'm
Out.
done.
I'm out.
I'm out.
Color lines.
Rick, absolutely beautiful. It's just gorgeous. I mean, and for yes, to publicly say that picture was tagged on the end of that video, and I was so excited to hear more stories. I transitioned right over, and the picture
That's
never
fine.
made. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to tell all the viewers that this is going to be available for on Twitch to watch over again. But in 24 hours, we can actually we can put videos onto our YouTube page. So we're going to put the uncut, the
Songs.
re-edited clips onto the songs, so there won't be any echo. You'll see all the pictures, and all of that'll be there. We can do that 24 hours after the show, so that'll be there as long with as well as the show too.
But this show in its entirety will be on Twitch immediately. Eventually, the whole show will go to YouTube as well.
But we'll get those
so it doesn't stay.
full songs, so everyone can listen to your gorgeous voice, and see all that in full view. So.
Thanks.
And yes, we'll post Davon's interview as well. We'll get all that up there so everybody.
God, what a highlight! I love that. That was great.
get
Wow,
pieces of that.
Unbelievable. Thank you, Davon, so much for that. Wow.
So Rick, we absolutely love you. You're a giant in the industry, and we are honored to be in your presence and be able to spend this time with you and hear you and be blessed with your talents. So we definitely thank you for that. So,
You're welcome. Thank you. I had a great time doing it. It was wonderful. I can't wait to do it again.
Again, wait, we're not doing this again. We're going to do it in a theater where
Oh,
everybody.
that's what I meant, in a theater.
I see a huge dance number being put into the show with you, Amber, and Arthur. Like this whole
Absolutely.
high kick
Ooh,
thing. I think
I
it's
like
totally.
it.
I think it's totally going to work.
If Kristen has dancers in her concert, Rick needs dancers in his.
Exactly.
Amber can play both of my wives.
Exactly. Can I suggest that Arthur plays one of them? You can pick which
I
one.
know.
Oh, that's
you can
fine.
pick which
That's
one.
fine.
I'm not going to.
That's fine.
I
don't
just
have a
wanna,
problem with that.
we'll mix it up a little. Amber can't do everything.
That's
but
true. That's fine with me.
Arthur was banking on playing Carol Channing, so now.
yeah, exactly.
Oh,
And Rick, can you tell us? Can you also too? There was that overture we had at the beginning. Can you tell us about that song?
Oh yeah, that's my son Reese Langston. If you go to Reese Langston Music, that's his son. That's his piece of what? RHYS. Reese Langston Music. You can catch all his stuff. That song is, I believe, the name of it is what? Nebish Frederick Douglass is the name of the song. But he's got a lot of songs on YouTube. He's got a lot of music to listen to. He's a very talented singer. So that was his song at the beginning.
Definitely is. So I'm gonna actually play it one more time with our card at the end. What was that, Bob?
And from Davon, we of course want to shout out to Napoleon, who has become editor extraordinaire.
Wow,
for the
thank you,
receipts
Napoleon.
in this.
Do you guys remember when we all used to work? We all had like jobs and we did other things. I miss that so much.
Yeah. Victor, I'll try to post links to everything that we talked about during the show when we post it on YouTube. It allows me to post links in the description.
Yeah.
So we'll do that.
Absolutely.
Great
Absolutely.
guys.
Well, thank you, Amber
Right.
and Arthur, as always.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you so much. Then
Amber,
that's.
mwah.
Oh, look at that. Perfect. Well, another successful cabaret in the books.
First one to the public. I hope for those of you who aren't clients of ours at the agency, we hope you enjoy this.
If you didn't, this is ICM. And we're thrilled that you all joined us today. If you liked it, it's ATB. But we did our best.
Yep. And come back and see our show. Here.
We
next
got
show
some
is what? It's
subscribers
Wednesday,
during the
so
show
Friday.
today. Yeah.
Friday. Thanks, Nick, for subscribing during the show today. We have email addresses at officehourstb.com, Bob or Todd at officehourstb.com. Hopefully we'll have another form of entertainment on here besides just the two of us talking for 90 minutes 3 times a week.
Exactly. Anything but that. All right. Well, here we go. Bob, have a good evening. Everybody, thanks for watching.
Thank you.
And have a good one. Bye-bye.
Poet laureate in my living room, yeah. Poet laureate in my living room, yeah. Poet laureate in my living room. Elephant in the hallway, poet laureate in my living room. Dipping trunks now, down talking at TMC and cartoon. The Nevis Frederick Douglass Philip package, stacking to get a scribble with a pencil. Best of bullet pressure, holding lectures, electing Nazi raps, all the measures. Reclaiming on the bed, they shoot last kid, then get the dining room. All hands and knees with a jam, you flake, trademarks, phenotypes with legalism. Raps and fuses, stimulus, pressure, and blue IMs, big grudges. And teeth for farmers, market lunch, you get hit hard like a truncheon. Hubert P, a la carte, a la mo. Hebdo in the drum room, sketch your poppers in the margins, dry humping scripts, yeah, we're on the phone on, ayy. Prefab in the 9 cost, flipping, flopping in the gender neutral blouse. Abstract bursts, just the owl jaws, just the owl jaws, laureate in my living room, yeah. Poet laureate in my living room, yeah. Poet laureate in my living room, yeah. Poet laureate in my living room. Peanut butter, sandy, cold facts, spit and cold facts in the Geiger chain, but no hitters ain't figures with drawing, but worse syntax spinner like an extra spitter. Ay, issuing monochrome delusions, every step a footprint of black realists moving, expanded bibliography for the duration of the Uber. Talking shop, chewing liquids, liquid night, sans pill, foam stock, now I'm fixing placebo, freelance, subject evidence of a pre-swing, but go post with addiction, with a peak of firm over my thumb, ayy, facial recognition, yo, on the upswing, downsides up, souls out of state, using like just another angle, like what, partake the boss of the Creole Voltaire, 23 back of this, yeah, the town shed, say liberty for eggs, second hemisphere, but a weeding fee, so laws, ayy, sit a mid-vacation, D-louse, that's the way files, yeah, sipping on the couch, poet love, we get in my living room, better breakfast, yeah, in a random house, more fucking. Laureate in my living room, yeah. Poet laureate in my living room, yeah. Poet laureate in my living room, yeah. Poet laureate in my living room.
Get out the way. I might be in the studio, but I'm still getting hyped.
Welcome to Langstonia.